G'day and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about The Secret of Monkey Island. As you can see, I've got the special edition collection of 1 and 2 right here for the Xbox 360. And if you feel like after I've talked about Secret of Monkey Island that you want to go back and play it, this is definitely the edition that I recommend, because I think that the remastered music is done super beautifully and the voice acting really helps the comedy and the jokes hit that much harder. The voice actors are great in this. I actually came across this game when I was much younger, and when I came across it, it was on floppy disks. But it was a unique way of interacting and coming into this knowledge of this game, because, as you guys know, I come from a small country town, and back then, I had no knowledge of many games at all. Games could be anything and everything, and there was very little news about what was coming out that year, so it was either somebody talked to me and I was like, hey, that's a game, and they're like, hey, have you seen this game that I have? Or, hey, have you like gone to the store and you've seen that? Or have you gone, to the bigger cities and seen all the games on display? Because my town didn't even have a video game store. So, when it came to The Secret of Monkey Island #1, I actually learnt about it through my brother, because he had just come back from a friend's house, and I was like, hey, what was it like? Because, small town gossip, there's no news except what's happening with other people. And he was telling me, and he was like, man, I played this game on the PC. And I was like, tell me about it. And he was like, well, it was not like the games we're used to, in the fact that it's mainly like exploring around and it's kind of funny. And I was like, funny like how? He's like, well, it's mainly jokes and stuff. And I was like, well, tell me about it. And so he proceeded to tell me about The Secret of Monkey Island and some of the little gags in it that he found particularly funny, or at least worth remembering. And I got really curious about this. And so I was like, hey, next time you see your friend, could you ask if I could, borrow that? And so, we eventually borrowed it, and it came on these little floppy disks. And that was The Secret of Monkey Island, how I first got introduced to it. It was extremely different from anything that I was used to up to that point. The whole point-and-click kind of adventures, I was not used to that, and maybe I was a little too young, because I was reading a lot of it, and a lot of the things I could barely make sense of, because I'd be like, okay, got to kind of do that and that, but why isn't it this working? And so it was a lot of exploration, where it would be like, okay, this plus this, can I give this to this person and do they do anything? Can I pull this? Can I push this? That sort of stuff. Now, I recently, as I said earlier, went back and replayed this, all remastered and done up, and man, is it beautiful. It's like, it reminded me of all that fun I had as a kid. Secret of Monkey Island is about a young man named Guybrush Threepwood who wants to become a pirate. And so he goes and he has to complete these trials in order to become a full-fledged pirate. And eventually you do end up searching for Monkey Island. His main nemesis is the ghost pirate LeChuck, who everything in this game, I should say right now, is funny. And I'm not sure if it's just my particular comedic tastes, but I think out of the couple of people that I've introduced to the Monkey Island series, they all have a bit of a chuckle and a laugh with it. So I think that's really one of its strongest points, the fact that all these years later, it still remains funny. I can't really talk about the game that much without giving away the plot, and considering that the whole adventure aspect is really integral to the experience, I'm going to try and keep it as brief as I can. The point-and-click adventure genre is pretty self-explanatory. You just point and click where you want to go or what you want to investigate. Consider it like sort of detective style, how it's just like you'll walk around and you'll notice things in the background and you'll have to decide whether you should take it with you or whether it's worth observing. The game is filled with little puzzles in that sort of vein, and surprisingly, unlike games like King's Quest, I think it is, you don't really die that often. There are ways to make you die, and I'm going to go ahead and say it because it's one of my favourite moments in the game. Guybrush Threepwood is a really likeable character. Don't get me wrong, he's very full of himself, and depending on how you want to choose his dialogue, he can even be a scared coward. But the main thing is that he's funny to like use as a protagonist, and he's very unlikely to be a pirate in the first place. But this world's like pirates are kind of like all joking around, and it's like the fun spirit of the atmosphere sort of comes together to create this world of like not only humor, but like it seems like it's kind of chill to be on Monkey Island and the islands in general in the deep Caribbean as it's set. But you can see like Guybrush makes a lot of boasts that you know, kind of weird. Like, one of the things he'll say to try and get people to turn around is like, look, it's a three-headed monkey, or and people will believe that. Or he'll say that his one notable skill is that he can hold his breath for 10 minutes underwater. So I mean, if there were a section in that game, for example, where you did go underwater, you'd be able to hold your breath completely fine, up to 10 minutes, in which case you'll die. And if you choose to try and test his theory, then as soon as it hits the 10-minute mark, he dies. And I found that hilarious, that they'd even go that far to make that little joke and plant those little seeds early around. And who would really think to do that? Like, I mean, when you come to this section, not many people are going to just sit around for 10 minutes to see if his boast is true. But yeah, sure enough, for 10 minutes he can hold his breath, and I thought that was just one of those amazing little touches. The series in general is filled with a lot of those fun little Easter eggs and little things that are placed around for humor, and it really serves it well. If you do want to get started into the Monkey Island series, definitely start at the beginning and just work your way through. They're all great, and as I said at the beginning of this, if you want to, get started in the modern era, and especially because those floppy disks would be super hard to track down, I think, just get these updated versions. They're fun, they've got beautiful music, and great voice work.
Hey, Nick. I just committed a felony.
Did it involve that big knife you've got there?
Yeah. What should I do with it?
Well, get rid of it.
I'll throw it in the water.
No, don't do that.
Why not? I need to ditch it.
It might wash up somewhere.
What do I care? My prints won't be on it. I'm throwing it in. I might need it. See ya.
See ya.
So that's Secret of Monkey Island. As I said, I went back and played it, and it's just as great as I remembered, if not better, with some of the updates. It's super funny, and I don't want to sound like I'm overselling this too much, but wow, I was having so much fun with this that I literally spent my entire day just playing through both of them again, because I'm like, you know what? I know I'm only going to be talking about number 1 when it comes to this video, but fuck it, I can see number 2 right here. I'm just going to go through that, and it's that kind of fun. It's the kind of game where you play it and it's like the exploration and the music and the personalities of the people you find, whether they be like the other pirates or the cannibals. It's great, and these characters will stay with you for a long time after you finish the game. Definitely play it, and yeah, I really, really love The Secret of Monkey Island. Thanks for listening. That was another game from my childhood. I know I haven't been doing many updates in regard to that, but that's because I'm honestly going back and playing them, and I'm trying to take my time and try and remind myself of how I felt at the time, and seeing if it sort of stands up to the modern era me and my modern expectations. And so far, I'm really pleased with how Secret of Monkey Island held up. So I might even go back and play some of the others at a later time. But until then, thank you guys for listening, and I'll catch you guys later.